Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Holy bombshell. Now I know that term is used rather loosely, bombshell, breaking bombshell, but I think if there was ever a legitimate time to be using that term, it has to be for a situation like this. Frankly, all of these revelations related to the Joe Biden, Jim Biden crime syndicate tends to be a massive bombshell, and this one is no different. In fact, this one might be one of the worst, especially considering the implication. You know, we often refer to a pay-for-play scheme, foreign oligarchs, foreign powers paying into the Biden family crime unit system in order to have direct access to the United States government or influential individuals within it, namely Joe Biden. Well, speaking of describing the whole scheme as pay for play, it seems as though it might have not been so far off. In fact, it might have been exactly that. Foreign oligarchs paying the Bidens for influence, and of course getting handsomely rewarded. We now have information that it's possible that Russian billionaires close to the Bidens may have evaded multiple rounds of sanctions because of their connection to the Biden family. Let me show you guys what's going on. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so take a look at this headline from the New York Post. Russian billionaires who shopped for US property with Hunter Biden and dined with Joe Biden dodge sanctions. Now the original article is from the New York Post, but we're actually going to be going to Trending Politics, who has a more condensed version. The New York Post article is going to take like 30 minutes to read, so we're not going to go through all of it. Trending Politics writes, unsanctioned Russian billionaires discussed favors with then Vice President Joe Biden after going property shopping with Hunter. Two Russian billionaires that went property shopping with Hunter Biden and also went for dinner with then Vice President Joe Biden discussed possible favors that they could exchange. The billionaires have since been able to evade United States sanctions related to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which happened over a year ago. Additional information about Joe and Hunter Biden's relationship with Yelena Baturina and Vladimir Yevtushenko have emerged, shedding light on some of the intriguing hints found on Hunter Biden's discarded laptop. After the United States Department announced a new round of sanctions on Friday, the sources spoke to the New York Post this week to report that the two Russian billionaires had once again managed to avoid being included on the sanctions list. I think it's very fishy, said an anonymous source. Vladimir Yevtushenko, who has a net worth of $1.9 billion according to Forbes, is a Russian businessman who owns a majority stake, 59%, in AFK Sistema, a large Russian conglomerate with investments in various sectors, including MTS, Ozon, and Medsi. According to emails retrieved from Hunter Biden's laptop, he met with Vladimir Yevtushenko and visited a commercial real estate property back in 2013. I asked Yevtushenko, why are you doing this on the front end? Before I understood that they were going to buy some real estate, the source told the Post. Why are you even doing this? Why would you be paying the son of the vice president to meet at a public restaurant in New York City? He made it very clear to me that, I think it would be good to have a good relationship with this guy. Maybe he can do a favor for us, and we can do a favor for him, the source continued. It was a complete quid pro quo that he was going in for. I told him that's not the way it works in America, but he basically laughed at me and told me that I was so naive, the source recalled of Yevtushenko, whose holdings also include Russia's largest cell phone provider, MTS, which faced a long-running investigation into nearly $1 billion in bribes paid to Uzbeki officials between 2004 and 2012. MTS, which was listed on the New York Stock Exchange before trading in its shares, was suspended in July of last year, ultimately settled the case with the Trump Justice Department in 2019, agreeing to pay an $850 million fine. The Post reported that Hunter Biden and one of the billionaires, Vladimir Yevtushenko, met in New York City in 2011, with the Russian billionaire reportedly paying the then vice president's son to meet at a public restaurant. According to an email from Hunter's laptop, they were set to meet again in 2018. Emails from Hunter Biden's laptop also show that he met with another Russian billionaire, Yelena Baturina, and her husband, ex-Moscow mayor Yuri Lushkov, at a dinner at Cafe Milano in Georgetown in 2015. This Russian oligarch, Yelena Baturina, and her ex-Moscow mayor husband are the same people behind that mysterious multi-million-dollar payment to Rosemont Seneca, Hunter Biden's consultant company. That, of course, was brought up multiple times during the 2020 election. Joe Biden called it Russian misinformation, but what it really seems to be is a Russian pay-for-play scheme where these Russian billionaires, these Russian oligarchs, are basically openly admitting that they're paying the Bidens for, quote, favors. Fast forward a couple of years later, and these same exact Russian oligarchs, both of them billionaires, billionaires, both of them highly influential, and both magically seem to avoid every single round of Russian sanctions from Joe Biden's government. Please explain to me how that's a coincidence. Like I always say, there are very few coincidences in the world of politics, and anybody who believes that this happens to be one of those rare coincidences, well, I have a bridge to sell you in New Jersey. Holy moly. I mean, you can't make this stuff up after 8 years of Donald Trump is a Russian puppet, Donald Trump is a Kremlin agent, Donald Trump is doing Vladimir Putin's bidding in the White House. After 8 years of that nonsense rhetoric that Donald Trump was working for Russian oligarchs and the Russians had something dirty on him, and therefore he was doing their bidding, well, who really is the Russian stooge after all? These are the exact individuals that Hunter Biden was meeting with on a relatively regular basis, was accepting money in his company, millions of dollars I might add, and these are some of the same individuals that Joe Biden himself, then vice president, back in 2011 and who knows, maybe in 2013, 2012, 2014, we don't know exactly, Joe Biden actually met with some of these individuals while he was vice president. Joe Biden, of course, having a serious issue as well when it comes to conflict of interest, considering he was basically the head of the Obama White House when it came to international relations and foreign policy in Ukraine. You can't make this stuff up. Hunter Biden was running around accepting millions of dollars from the Chinese, millions of dollars from Russian oligarchs, making millions of dollars working at Burisma with zero experience in the energy sector, paying 10% to the big guy, giving a good chunk of his salary to his father, Joe Biden, as he claimed in a text message. We now have multiple Hunter Biden business associates. There's another one, by the way, who's currently spilling the beans to the DOJ and the FBI, which I'm sure is going to lead to more bombshell information at a later date at some point. We have so much information suggesting that the Biden crime syndicate was involved in a serious influence peddling scheme to the tune of tens of millions of dollars. And now we have a connection to these Russian oligarchs who are magically avoiding sanctions with Joe Biden as president after Hunter Biden was targeted by one of these individuals, claiming that he was paying Hunter Biden, doing him a favor with the explicit stated intent of, quote, maybe he can do a favor for us, with the intent of looking to get favorable treatment from the Bidens when they're in positions of power. All of this legitimate evidence of a corrupt political racket here, a corrupt political family, yet the media tries to drive your attention to the Trump Organization and supposed Trump-Russia collusion. It's all just so ridiculous. The Russia connection, the corruption, the political bribery exists on one side. That's with the Bidens and the Democrats. We have legitimate mounting evidence, frankly at this point a mountain of evidence. And I think at this point, if Merrick Garland doesn't launch another investigation, another special counsel targeting Hunter Biden, Jim Biden, Joe Biden, and any business or any trust account connected to those three individuals, if they don't start subpoenaing the entire crew, well then all faith in American institutions and federal agencies and basic law and order pretty much goes out the window. Can't be rules for Republicans and rules for Democrats, because that's pretty much how we got here in the first place. There is corruption beneath the surface, and that corruption has a very distinct look, and there's actually a word for it. It's spelled B-I-D-E-N. The Biden crime family must be held to account, must be investigated. There is too much actual evidence and circumstantial evidence, too much there for these Democrat clowns to just be able to walk away from this unscathed. Meanwhile, they're lifting every single stone, every single pebble at Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago, the Trump Tower, and his golf course, and pretty much subpoenaing anyone in his direct orbit. It's despicable. It should frustrate every American, and it should not be allowed to stand. That's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, friends, and I'll see you on the next one.